Highly recommend. Amazing. Hi there, my name's Leeja. I'm a real-life lawyer on a mission to demystify the law and how it affects your everyday life. I'm also on a mission to demystify law school and, you know, schooling and education in general. So I bring you this list. Today I'm gonna do something a little bit different in honor of back to school season, you guys. It is so hot in Minneapolis. I know I look a little bit less formal than I usually do, but I cannot muster anything more than a t-shirt right now, which makes this topic much more exciting for me because it's back to school season, which means fall, which means I can put a sweater on again, finally. I'm a Minnesota girl. I'm a cold weather lady. I would much rather be cold than hot, and it has been blazing hot in Minneapolis for a month at this point, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. To get my mind into fall, because it's what I want to be thinking about right now, let's talk about some back to school essentials from me, a lawyer. These are law school specific, but I really think they could translate into like undergrad or any sort of master's program. They are not gimmicky shit. This is stuff that actually genuinely made my life better and easier when I was a tortured law student, just kind of muddling through life. 3 years of muddling. And if I can help anyone survive them better, then it'll be worth my time. So let's dive right into these top 10 essentials for back to school 2021, baby. Okay, I'm gonna start with a weird one. Let's just start off kooky. I'm starting with this book stand. A book stand, yes. Hear me out on this one. At least in law school, you are constantly reading from these giant textbooks, and maybe you're gonna go the digital versions of those books, but I would frankly recommend against it. I did so much better in classes where I had the material in writing in front of me that I was like writing on and writing notes from, like the tactility, is that a word? Of the experience of having an actual book and actual physical notes helps your brain just remember stuff. I know that you've heard that studies have shown that that's the case, but like in my personal experience, that's the case. This book holder is pretty amazing because your books are giant and so they take up all this space on your desk, but also you're constantly spending all your time like hunched over like this. And so having this book holder that holds your book upright like this so that you can read while sitting with a straight spine is life-changing. I went to law school with a girl who brought this to class and like set up her desk space with it, which some people thought was goofy. I thought it was brilliant. The years you spend hunched over, I mean, why do you think RBG looked like that at the end? It's because she was hunched over books for 60 years. Like that's just not, you're not supposed to sit like this. So this book stand is a life changer for your spine health, which will be important because you're gonna be hunched over a lot of books if you're in school. All right. Moving on. Item number 2 is more for people if you're in a colder climate. Like I said, I am. I went to law school in Boston, also a cold climate. You're going to be getting up early or studying late into the night, or both. There's gonna be a lot of darkness, both internally and externally, especially in the winter months, and you're gonna need to get through them. So I highly recommend a light therapy lamp, a sad lamp, a happy lamp, whatever you want to call it. I've tried numbers of these throughout the years, and the brand that I have landed on is Verilux. I will link the one that I have down below, but they have a variety of models and they work great. They're long lasting. I've had some that have kicked the bucket after a couple months. These are great and they really work. They really work, okay? I get exhausted. I have these dips at like 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm a morning person. I could go all morning, but when 3 or 4 o'clock hits, I am ready for a nap. And that's not really an option when you have like chapters and chapters to read. Also, reading that much, that constantly is exhausting and also puts me to sleep. So I needed something to stimulate me, and these lights really, really work, especially in the cold months. For my mood, it probably helped elevate it, but really for me, it was like the energy boost that it gave me to have this light kind of directly in my eyes while I was reading, and you just pop it on for like half an hour, and I found it gave me like 2-3 extra hours of studying time and energy in me when I use this lamp, especially when it's really dark outside. Highly recommend. Okay, number 3, pens and highlighters. Yes, this is a lame, boring one, but hear me out. I'm gonna stress Again, if you're going to law school, or really any school, but if you're going to law school, I can speak from experience, my grades were better in the classes that I wrote things down and took notes in and highlighted the cases and did really careful reading and note-taking. It's essential, okay? So I linked down below my favorite pens and highlighters. My favorite pens are Bic Soft Feel, which I know is really basic, but one time I worked at this restaurant and they required us to buy these pens specifically. I don't know why, maybe because they're really basic, maybe because they last a long time, but the writing, it's not like a ballpoint. It's not, I can't write with ballpoints. I drag too much, so then everything looks like chicken scratch. These like stick to the page a little more than a ballpoint, but they still feel really nice. I don't know what it is about them. Anyway, I worked for that stupid restaurant for like a month and I hated it, but I still, to this day, only use those pens. I don't know what it is. They just feel right in my tiny little hands. So if you've got little hands and you like a soft feel, try those pens. Then highlighters, these ones that I linked down below have a see-through tip and they're narrow. I highly recommend using a narrow highlighter. I found the fatter ones. The text in your law books is too small and I needed the narrower guys to get more precise lines. The ones that I've linked down below have a see-through tip so you can actually see where you're lining, which is also a game changer. Pens and highlighters, boring but essential. Stock up. Okay, number 4, related to this sun lamp idea, vitamin D tablets. Yeah, look, again, if you're going to be in a climate where it gets cold sometimes, vitamin D. I don't know what it is, it gives me the energy and it keeps my mood elevated. The combo of vitamin D tablets and that happy lamp really sealed the deal for me to make it through the first winter of law school, which is, oh boy, that's a long winter. It's a dark winter and you're gonna need it. Double up with the vitamin D and the Verilux lights and you'll be feeling like a fresh spring day. You know what I mean? Okay, moving on. Number 5, topical pain relief cream. That's right, get yourself some Bengay. Holy crap, I have never had back pain like I did while I was in law school. I don't have it now anymore, but law school specifically, constant back pain. My roommate was also a law student and we would just rub back pain cream on each other, take turns most days, because you're either hunched over books, which again, get the book stand, that'll help, and then, or you're carrying a backpack with 5 books in it that weigh 20 pounds each. So either way, you're like lugging things, you're carrying them, they're on your back, you're hunched over, you're constantly in this position, so your back is gonna hurt. Get Bengay, just rub it on there. It is a lifesaver. Take baths if you can, get massages if you're like loaded or something and not going into 6 figures of debt for law school. God bless, enjoy. For me, it was the Bengay. Oh, what a lifesaver. All right, speaking of painful backs, you are going to need a backpack, and I love Timbuktu backpacks. This is not a sponsored video. I just love Timbuktu backpacks. They are for bikers specifically, not like motorcycle bike, like bicyclists, I mean. And so they're really compact, like they look really sleek, but they hold a lot and they're super durable. I still have mine. Let me show you. Where did I put it? It's right here. This is my law school backpack. This carried me through 3+ years and then all the time since, because I still clearly use it. Their backpacks have tons of little pockets and storage areas. A lot of them have like a little water bottle side thing, which usually held coffee. I could fit like 4 giant textbooks in that backpack, even though it looks pretty sleek. And it's sturdy and nothing has broken on it. Nothing's even frayed on it. It has maybe like a stain on the bottom because I set it in something, but like, this is my second Timbuktu backpack. The most sturdy backpacks I've ever had. And the only reason I replaced my last Timbuktu backpack, which got me through undergrad, including a year in South America, is because it was red and I didn't like the red and I wanted a plain black backpack. I could have brought that backpack from undergrad through to law school with me. They're just great backpacks. Also, they all, at least in my experience, they all come with this little, it's like a beer can opener. Because you know you're gonna be lugging your backpack to parties at law school because you're gonna be a nerd and you gotta just lean into it. You're gonna be the cool one at the party because your backpack has a beer opener. Just saying, get a good backpack. All right, another thing that I found personally very essential when I was in law school, a good retinol. I didn't have forehead lines before law school. By the end, I had forehead lines. You might not be able to see them right now because this is good lighting. They're there, and they didn't exist before law school. I also found my first gray hair in law school. Law school's gonna age you. It's exhausting, so highly recommend a great face cream. I personally use Neutrogena's retinol. Again, link down below. I have gone through like at least 4 of these. I think they work great. They're a pretty affordable price for a retinol, and they get the job done. The other day, a guy told me he thought I was 22 years old, and another woman asked me if I was still in college. So something must be working. All right, another big one, get yourself a great coffee tumbler, like a travel coffee mug. Oh my God, this thing was my best friend. I use a Contigo travel mug. This one, I'm telling you, is such a good, I've never had a better travel mug. Again, this is not sponsored. I have never had a better travel mug. This thing keeps it piping hot for literally 8 hours. Like I could make coffee in the morning and I could still have warm, maybe not piping hot, but warm coffee by like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If I like, for some reason, kept it that long, which I usually didn't, but it lasts piping hot for hours, and it's got this lock on it. So like I could throw it in my backpack and it wouldn't leak. I mean, I usually didn't because that made me nervous, but like it never once leaked on me. Leak proof, hot as balls. Like I usually have to put an ice cube in with the coffee. Otherwise it's gonna be too hot to drink for 5 hours. It's essential for law school, and this one is specifically amazing. Unless you're not a coffee drinker, in which case, okay. Another big one that I ended up relying on more than I expected, an Instacart membership. Listen, again, you know, you're probably going into debt to go to law school. What's a couple extra bucks if it means that you don't have to go all the way to the grocery store, get things, and then come all the way back? My grocery store is like a 10-minute walk from me when I was living in Boston in first year of law school. Carrying all the groceries that far when I'm stressed already, and it's like Boston, and so the weather is either like sludgy or like really humid. It just was, no. The peace of mind that Instacart offered me was so amazing. It was just not a thing I did every single week, but when I needed it, oh my God, it was a lifesaver. To just have someone else pick my groceries for me, amazing. Highly recommend. Again, it's a luxury, but like what's a couple extra bucks on top of the thousands of dollars of debt that you already have? You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to make your life just like a teeny bit easier if it's gonna be the thing that keeps you sane. And number 10, also on the keeping your sanity spectrum, good noise canceling headphones. There's always gonna be someone in the library doing something annoying, and you need to be able to just cancel it out. You know what I mean? Man, oh man, were these puppies essential for me. I've linked some down below. You know what? Take your pick of noise canceling headphones. I picked small earbuds because again, you have so many books and so much shit that having big headphones on top of it, not my cup of tea. Get something that's gonna just give you the privacy and the space and the quiet that you need no matter where you are, because you're gonna need a lot of it. And you might have an annoying roommate, or you might have to be in a packed library, or in a library with undergrads, or something that is really distracting is going to be happening around you, and you're gonna need to be able to focus. So noise canceling headphones, cannot recommend them enough. That's it. That's the top 10 things. Honestly, with those 10 things, like your life, your quality of life is gonna be so much higher. And honestly, you're welcome. Okay, on top of that though, if you are going into law school, I have a couple book recommendations, like bonus book recommendations. If you want to have some reading material beforehand, you're not really gonna have time to read books for fun during, but you know, maybe you're a superhuman and you just love to read and can't stop. Here's some light reading to do before your first day. I read 1L of a Ride. Yeah, that's right. That's a good play on words, right? 1L of a Ride. It's just preparing you for 1L, what to expect. I think I gleaned maybe half of it stuck, you know, and the other half went over my head or like wasn't what I really needed, but you might glean stuff from it that might be helpful to prepare you for what to expect and what to think about going in your 1L year. This one is one of the most common ones to read before law school. Also, my law school had us read the book Just Mercy by Bryan Stevenson before we started. He came and then gave a talk at the school, which was awesome. There's a movie as well, but I highly recommend the book. I've recommended it on this channel before. It's about Bryan Stevenson's career helping exonerate people on death row, mainly in Alabama, but throughout the country. And it's just a really stark look at our justice system, which I think is an important thing to know and be aware of if you're gonna become a lawyer. And then one book that I am in the process of reading right now that is blowing my mind is called The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein. It's all about housing discrimination, state-sanctioned housing discrimination throughout the 20th, mainly 20th century in the United States. It's one of those books that like, it'll open your eyes to things and you won't be able to ever unsee it once you've seen it, and it's shocking. And maybe that's a sign of my own ignorance that I know the depths of housing discrimination. Like, I knew about private housing discrimination, like redlining by banks, but this is state-sanctioned housing discrimination that's been going on for over a century in this country. And basically his argument is like, we should give reparations because this was state sanctioned. This was not a private thing. This was against the Constitution and continues to be, because we can still see the remnants of this state sanctioned housing discrimination affecting people of color in the United States, specifically Black people today. And so they deserve reparations of some sort because, again, it's continuing to be unconstitutional. Man, it's a good book. Highly recommend. Those are all linked down below too. All right, well, I hope you found this helpful. I hope if you're going into school this fall that you have an amazing school year. I miss it sometimes. Sometimes I don't, but a lot of times I do. So I hope that this is helpful, and maybe let me know in the comments below if you get any of this stuff and you find it helpful. That would be amazing. And if you're starting law school, oh my gosh, congratulations. This is huge, and good luck. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good day. Goodbye.